aware how currently the basic education is organized. And we begin from pre-primary. Remember, we have the age-based and the stage-based. The age-based is for the regular learners. The stage-based is for the special needs education learner. And within the age-based, as it states, it goes according to the age of the learner. So we have the pre-primary, which is mainly up to from grade 3 to from age 3 to 6. We have the primary education. Within the primary education, we have lower primary, that is grade 1 to 3, and the grade 4 to 6, which is the upper primary. We have the junior school, and we have the senior school. From the senior school, it is expected that learners will either move to the world of work or they go for further training in tertiary institutions. Under the special needs, which is the stage-based, we have 4 levels. We have the foundation level, we have the intermediate level, we have the vocational level, the pre-vocational level, then we have the vocational level. And those learners can we also be able to proceed to the world of work. Now, the focus, what is the focus of the basic education level? Since we have said we have the pre-primary, the primary, the junior school, and senior school, each of these levels focus on specific skills. If you look at, for instance, the pre-primary is going to focus on interaction skills. Just as the word states, learners at that level are able to interact with the environment, with other learners, with the resources that they have, and so forth and so forth. So mainly the focus is on interaction. As we move forward to the primary level, then the focus shifts to socialization. And in socialization, as the word suggests again, they socialize with each other, they communicate with each other, and therefore acquire the necessary skills. At junior school then, if you look at the curriculum that is offered in junior school, and we'll be looking at the learning areas that are offered in junior school, you will find that there's a lot of focus on exploration, that learners are exposed to very many learning areas so that they are able to explore all these learning areas as they try to fit into their career paths. So it is an area of just exploring. And I know most of the people have had a lot of questions. Why do we have too many learning areas in this level? The reason is we are allowing those learners to explore fully before they make a decision on what career path they would like to follow. Then when we go to senior school, then we focus more on the pre-career skills. And that is the reason why we have the different pathways, that those pathways will help the learners begin to identify which career paths they will take, especially when they are through with their grade 12. Now, we know curriculum is not static, and it is dynamic. It has to be reviewed time and again because of the different factors that exist. And normally KICD, as one of the functions that we have indicated, conducts research and monitoring and evaluation regularly. So that is something we do for each of every level that is introduced under CBC. A monitoring has to be carried out to inform on the issues and challenges that exist and what needs to be done in order to improve. So some of the reasons why we undertake this review is to ensure that the content is manageable. Others is to get better ways and strategies of engaging the parents and avoiding what we call not burdening them. There are other reasons why we review that curriculum, because in some instances, we find that there are overloads, there are overlaps, and therefore, the need to be able to review that curriculum. Moving forward, I know most people are asking, why have we then decided to rationalize the learning areas of the different levels? And this was formed by the Presidential Working Party in Education Reforms that carried out engagements with stakeholders. And one of the key areas that was realized is that the scope of some of the learning areas was too wide, and also there were aspects of overlaps. So that led to the review of that, of the rationalization. Again, we realized that there were issues related to cost, that it was perceived that CBC is very costly. However, this was looked into and rationalization took place. Aspects of community linkages and also the adaptation of SNE. In terms of other aspects of pertinent issues, for instance, the value-based education, the parental engagement and empowerment, and these are aspects that support the implementation of CBC in terms of ensuring that our parents are engaged, and in terms of issues related to community service learning, where learners now directly relate what they are learning in the classroom to the outside world. Now, what are the learning areas then that are covered at the moment in terms of the different levels? When we talk about the pre-primary, we take into consideration the PP1 and the PP2. At that level, we have 5 learning areas. We have the language activities, we have the mathematical activities, we have the creative activities. Before rationalization, this was formerly known as movement and creative activities. We have the environmental activities and the religious activity. There is also one lesson that is reserved for what we call pastoral or religious programs. Now, under the lower primary, we had several learning areas. One of them still remains indigenous language. We have Kiswahili language, but we also have Kenya Sign Language for those learners who are not, who have hearing impaired. We have English learning activities, we have mathematical activities, religious education activities. Then there was the environmental activities and hygiene and nutrition activity, which have now been combined to what we call environmental activities. Then we have movement and creative activities, now known as creative activities. Again, one lesson reserved for pastoral or religious program instructions. Under the upper primary, which is grade 4, 5, and 6, we have English, we have Kiswahili, Kenya Sign Language, again for hearing impaired learners, mathematics, religious education, science and technology. Initially, we had agriculture and home science, now known as agriculture. We have social studies. Initially, we had physical health education, creative arts, and now it is known as creative arts. Of course, there are other languages that can be taught at this level. We have French, we have German, we have Mandarin, we have Arabic, and so forth. Again, one lesson reserved for pastoral instruction. Under junior school, and this is where we are saying that we have that very broad curriculum where learners are able to explore, we have several learning areas: English, Kiswahili, Kenya Sign Language, mathematics, religious education, social studies. And social studies includes life skills education. We have integrated science, which includes health education. Remember, integrated science and health education were separate learning areas. We had the pre-technical studies and business standing on their own. However, the pre-technical studies now include both business studies and computer studies. Agriculture and home science have been combined to one subject known as, one learning area known as agriculture. We initially had the sports and PE, the visual arts and performing arts, but now they are all combined to one learning area known as creative arts. And if we look at all these curriculums that have been offered for the regular learner, they have been adapted for the hearing impaired, the visually impaired, and the physically impaired learners. That is for the learners with hearing, visual, and physical impairments. Under the stage-based, then, for instance, for the mentally handicapped, they go through the pre-vocational level, which is equivalent to the junior school level. Now, what are the learning areas that we are going to have in the senior school? That is grade 10, 11, and 12. As you note from the organization of the basic education structure, the senior school is 3 years. And at this level then, we realized that by the end of senior school, they can either go to tertiary institutions for further training, or they can move directly to the world of work. And we are expecting that at that level, that by the end of grade 12, then that learner will be engaged, they will be empowered, and they will be ethical. So if we don't achieve those 3 E's, then we have not achieved what we wanted to achieve under basic education: engaged, empowered, and ethical citizens, so that they are ready to participate in the socioeconomic development of the nation. Now, it is at this level that the learners are ready to specialize, and that is why we have the different pathways, which we'll be looking at shortly. Now, it is also a pre-career stage, because remember, once a learner picks a specific pathway, then it means they have already identified their career pathway. Now, the learning outcomes under this senior school is that, one, they should be able to communicate effectively, and that is why we are going to see that one of the core subjects that must be learned in senior school, that all the learners in senior school have to undertake, is English and Kiswahili. Those ones will be core subjects, among others. They should be able to have the critical thinking skills. They should be able to carry out basic research and scientific skills. They should be able also to exploit their talents. Because remember, at the junior school, we were able to expose them to so many learning areas where they were supposed to be able to exploit the talents they have. Again, issues of religious studies. You can see religious studies runs all through from preschool to senior school. Why? Because we want them to acquire values and apply these values into their daily life. They should be able also to promote the health care in their daily lives, and also to preserve, protect, and improve their environment, among other learning outcomes. So that is what we envisaged for this learner who goes through the senior school. Now, what are the core subjects in the senior school? The core subjects, as I have said, one of the outcomes is to be able to communicate effectively. Therefore, without a language, of course, you'll not be able to communicate effectively. And that is why we are saying English is part of the core subjects in senior school. We have Kiswahili as another core subject. And we also have the Kenya Sign Language, again, for learners with hearing impairments. There's also another very important core subject in senior school, and that is physical education. So physical education then becomes a core subject, and this is mainly to ensure that learners have the ability in terms of issues related to psychomotor, cognitive, social, and emotional skills as they undertake that physical education. Another core is the community service learning. And the community service learning will mainly offer experiential learning opportunities on the competencies and values in the different contexts that they engage in. So this will be mainly a project-based type of learning, and therefore they will be able to do a lot of projects. Now, where then does ICT skills fall? we are saying that ICT skills then is going to be offered to all learners and becomes necessary to facilitate learning and enjoyment. So ICT facilities will be applied in all the subjects, which then are the pathways and the tracks that the learners are going to undertake in senior school. We're saying one of the pathways is the arts and sports science, and within this arts and sports science, it is envisaged that 15% of the learners will go into this pathway. So we have two tracks, the sports science and the performing arts. Under the sports science, we are going to have the sports and recreation. And under the performing arts, we'll have music and dance, we'll have theater and film, we'll have fine arts. So that is one of the pathways. The second pathway is in the social sciences, and this is divided into two tracks. I don't know if they are distracting you. Do I need to hold or I move on? I move on. So under the two tracks, we have languages and literature, and we also have humanities and business studies. Under languages, okay. Let's see if that technology works. It's innovation. But I can move on. I think I'm audible enough and I'm clear, and I hope you're following me. Under the languages and literature, we are going to have literature in English, indigenous language, fasihi ya Kiswahili, sign language, Arabic, French, German, Mandarin. Now, you will note that we are saying English is a core. But from what we've discussed now, is literature in English a core? We said English is a core. Is literature in English a core? No. Okay? I hope you are with me. Under humanities then, and business studies, we'll have Christian religious education, Islamic religious education, Hindu religious education, business studies, and we will also have history and citizenship. Initially, we used to call it history and government. And then we will also have geography. Under the STEM pathway, the STEM pathway is envisaged to taken by about 60% of all the learners, and we will have three tracks: the pure sciences, the applied sciences, and the technical studies. Pure sciences as they are currently, biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, but general science is also part of that category. Under the applied sciences, we have agriculture, computer studies, and home science. Remember, under junior school, we had put it as one learning area. But when we come to senior school, they now become distinct subjects and learned as specific subjects. Under the technical subjects, then, we'll have aviation, building construction, electricity, metalwork, power mechanics, woodwork, and we shall have two other media technology and marine and fisheries technology. Now, those two will only be offered by particular schools. And I'll ask one question. Marine and fisheries technology, can this subject be offered in Nairobi? Can we have this subject in a Nairobi school? Yes or no? Marine and fisheries technology, it will be offered in Nairobi. Okay, a discussion for another day. Then, under the senior school, we will also have what we call dual certification in technical subject. And that means that if a learner takes a technical subject, then by the time they exit in senior school, that is grade 12, they will have two certification. One of the certification is the one that will be offered by NEC, the Kenya Certificate of Basic Education, because they have undergone through the education curriculum all the way to grade 12 and completed. However, they will also get what we call an artisan's equivalent certificate, which will be awarded by an industrial training institution. And the reason is because once they undertake this technical subject and they acquire the competencies that are required, then they are eligible to join the world of work through what we call apprenticeship, and they'll work under the guidance and supervision of experienced specialists, and therefore they can be able to advance their skills. So they are graduates who will actually exit grade 12 with 2 certifications. Now, since we have already seen that we have 4 core subjects, English, Kiswahili, physical education, and community service learning, then how many electives do we have if each of the learners is to take 7 subjects? We have 3 electives, so they can have 3 other subjects which they can select from the array of all the subjects that are going to be offered. There is one lesson that is then reserved for what we call group study or learner personal learning. That there is a lesson where learners will be allowed just to be themselves, to do what they want, of course under the guidance of their teacher, but it is also a lesson meant for learning, and it can also be a group study lesson. So in total, we have 38 subjects which are going to be offered in senior school, and each of these subjects, we are saying that ICT skills will be key in facilitating learning. Of course, we know that the first graduates of senior schools who are going to move from junior school will be joining senior school next year, that is 2026. They will be there for 3 years, and by 2028, they will be exiting basic education. And our colleagues from NEC will tell us how that assessment is going to be conducted. And with that, I come to the end of my presentation, but leave you with this quote that curriculum is not something that is static. It is ever-changing and needs to adapt to the needs of society. So thank you very much for listening to me.